This is an Ahead of the Herd special presentation. Introducing Entheon Biomedical.
Hi, I'm Tim Thico. I'm the CEO of Entheon Biomedical. We are a drug development company focused on the development of solutions for people that suffer from substance use disorder. We're trading on the CSE under the ticker ENBI. One of the reasons Entheon was formed is in response to the unacceptable rates of death that are happening as a result of substance use disorder. Just with regard to opiates, in any given year in the US, about 70,000 people lose their lives to overdose. And that's just one measure of the impact of drug addiction. Of course, death is the worst outcome that can be achieved through drug addiction, but as was the case with my brother who lost his life to opiate addiction, along that path, which is sometimes decades long, there's untold damage that takes place both to the person and the family as they try unsuccessfully to deal with it. Rates as they apply to alcoholism, every year about 90,000 people die due to alcoholism, and the social impact of that is also unspeakable. Families get torn to pieces, children are affected, and economically the costs associated with addictions in various forms are in the billions, untold billions. And so to take that on, it felt like our responsibility to provide new options for people that were previously untaken care of by some of the currently available treatment options. Psychedelics have the potential to treat these people, but then the next order of business is which psychedelic and how best to administer it. And through that process, in conference with our advisors and our management team, we arrived at the product that we're trying to produce, which is continuous infusion DMT over time for the treatment of drug addiction, housed within a supportive psychotherapeutic framework. So some of the current treatment options that exist are quite high in terms of the cost needed, but also paired with low efficacy. Some of the more typical routes of treating drug addiction are residential treatment, and I think it's pretty typical for a lot of substance use disorder sufferers to not just undertake one bout of treatment, but over the course of a lifetime, hopefully resulting in success. It's quite typical to have people take multiple bouts of treatment, and sometimes these treatments can range from anywhere from 5,000 to 30,000 per treatment episode, and the efficacy rates for that are as low as 10%. And so that the rate of remission compared to the high cost, there obviously needs to be a more evidence-based and cost-effective solution. And some of these other treatments that exist, 12-step recovery, for instance, that is free to partake in, the efficacy rates are again low in the sort of single-digit to 10% range. So obviously there is a massive gap in terms of how drug treatment is administered. The market for that is something about $16 billion per year. And when you pair that with the understanding the efficacy rates are so low, there exists an opportunity to more sort of impactfully address that in a way that is hopefully one bout and then you're done, as opposed to a continuous type of model. The approach that Entheon is taking to treating drug addiction is to really address the source of addiction at its core. We understand addiction to be a complex network of psychological and emotional issues that sort of exist within the person exist on a very foundational nature. And the current treatment options all attempt to sort of get at that core, sometimes through medications and through psychiatry, all trying to generate a new perspective on how that person feels and how that feeling generates a behavior. But as we've seen, some of those approaches are ineffective. And so the promise of psychedelics are in that they help to create these massively powerful, insightful, and profound experiences. And so molecules such as DMT achieve that. And so what we at Entheon are doing is we are producing a safe and medically supported way of administering DMT. DMT is a massively powerful psychoactive molecule, administering that on a continuous infusion basis, so controlling the way that it's delivered so that we have precise control over the pace at which the experience comes on, as well as the intensity of the experience. and doing so in such a medically controlled environment, as so that if the patient does experience distress, they're supported and there's a medical professional with them to help guide their experience. Entheon has chosen to go down the route of psychedelic research due to the known benefits of psychedelics. Anecdotally and culturally, we've known for decades that psychedelics have the capacity to directly affect substance use disorder related outcomes. Millennia of indigenous cultures have known this to be the case for treating sort of diseases of despair, issues related to psychological and emotional derivation. And so, it's the job of us and the research community to find out exactly how to properly administer this class of drugs so that we can create some of these profound experiences that will help the individual achieve that state of internal reformation that will hopefully elicit a change in behavior. Knowing what we know about psychedelics and their ability to elicit these massive changes that are hopefully beneficial to people, it's still necessary for us to house that within a regulatory and scientific argument. And so what Entheon is doing is taking these assumptions, these observations sort of gleaned over decades, and applying that to a rigorous scientific study, conducting all the relevant human trials, and compiling the data in such a way that's presented to the regulators so that the data is presented in such a way that, from the perspective of safety and efficacy, these things are hopefully undeniable and they will pass the scrutiny of the regulators in question. So in order to achieve this and bring this class of drugs and our product to market, we understand that it can't rely exclusively on passion or intent. And in order to achieve this, we believe that we've formed a world-class management team made up of people that are deep into the sciences and have a pretty good understanding of the sort of capital requirements and the capital markets that are needed to fund this. And sort of supporting that is a world-class all-star team of scientific advisors that represent the best and brightest in the scientific research space specific to psychedelic research. So some of the names that we have are from the most respected research organizations in the world, Johns Hopkins, Imperial College of London, and they've been intimately involved in the development of our protocols, and also on our advisory committee are a variety of pharma industry veterans that have seen a number of drugs through the clinical trials process. I think we exist in a very opportune space where, of course, our mandate is twofold, where it's not just to make money, but it's also to help people. And so if you're interested in that type of investment where there is the potential to address and provide a service or a product for as of yet unaddressed markets, but in doing so helping to change lives, we should certainly be on your radar.